Hello everyone, I'm Congressman Chuck Edwards. Thank you all for joining my office for our very first Western North Carolina Fire Department Grant Seminar. I hate that I can't be with you in person today, but I didn't want to miss this chance to say hello and also to say thank you to our host David Sawyer, to our amazing panelists, and to our first responders. I appreciate you all being here today and for everything that you do for the people of Western North Carolina. My office is hosting these workshops because I know how hard our firefighters are working to protect our communities. And I want Western North Carolina fire departments to have every opportunity to obtain funding and submit successful grant applications. Firefighting equipment is only getting more expensive. And without grants, many departments would find it very difficult to purchase the tools and resources that they need to perform their responsibilities safely and effectively. As a member of the U.S. House Appropriations Committee, I know that effective funding is a game changer. Grant application processes can be so intimidating, especially for the understaffed or underfunded fire departments that need them the most. In the face of tragedies, it's our first responders who save lives and protect our property. Together, we need to make sure our firefighting teams receive the resources that they need to continue keeping our communities safe. Thank you once again to our firefighters. We appreciate you. If I can ever be assistance to you in the future in North Carolina or in DC, please don't hesitate to reach out.
To take the time to put this together. This is truly a service that we have provided individually. In my role, over the last 7 years, we get these calls generally from General Assembly members because they have members, fire departments in their area that generally have needs that outside of the needs are what we can help with our local grants through our grants program through the Office of State Fire Marshal. And we have utilized Brent Heath, which is one of the panelists today, and he would go out and meet with them individually and talk about the grants, for the FEMA grants, and also talk about the USDA grants that they have, and also the special loan programs that they have, and also the co-op grants through electrical co-ops, low interest, no interest loans that are available there. So we generally have provided this one-on-one with fire departments, not really in an open setting, so this will be the first. We have a demand now throughout the state for these meetings, and we hope to help that. Even though this grant is due this month, or this week, or closes this week, we also have the SAFER and the Fire Prevention Grant that hopefully we can be useful for applying for those. But of course, with our staff, Brent Heath, which is our Director of Governmental Affairs, and then Shannon Bullock. Shannon worked in state government for over 30 years for the Governor's Highway Safety, and has worked in federal grants pretty much all of her career. And so I brought her back, and she is Director of our Public Affairs. And just with her knowledge of the do's and don'ts with the grants and helping us guide through that, she's here to answer those questions and has a presentation as well. And of course, our other federal partners, I appreciate you all being here today, and hopefully you can talk about your program. But we do have a special guest online, Chris Billingsley, which is the North Carolina rep for FEMA Fire Act Grant. And so he is online and has to be off at 6:30 sharp. So if we have questions for him, we'll field those hopefully remotely or through email and get back to you on that. So at this time, we're going to turn it over to Chris Billingsley.
Okay, Chris, are you ready?
I am ready. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. You're good.
Correct.
Technology is working.
It is working. You have the slides up?
I do, and you're ready to go.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Christopher Billing. I currently work AFG Fire Grants Program, and I'm here to discuss AFG, Assistance Firefighter Grant, and I'm going to briefly go over SAFER and FP&S. Next slide, please.
We're good.
The Fire Grants Program. The Assistance Fire Grants Program funds are for EMS equipment, PPE, training, and wellness, fitness activity, modifications to projects and vehicles. Staffing for adequate fire and emergency response, better known as SAFER, provides funding to fire departments to increase staffing to meet national standards, either through hiring full-time operational firefighters or the recruitment and retention of volunteers. It should have a slide that should say Fire Grants Program, and you should have AFG has 324 million, and then SAFER, and then FP&S. Do you have that slide?
Yes, we do.
Okay. And the last one, Fire Prevention and Safety, which is better known as FP&S, provides funding for fire prevention, education, and training, wildlife risk reduction, fire code enforcement, fire/arson investigation, and research and development on fire health and safety and well-being. For FY 2023, Congress appropriated $720 million to the program. That split $360 million going to AFG and $360 million going to SAFER. By statute, 10% of the funds provided to AFG are used to fund FP&S. Next slide. I'm just giving you a brief one. This is going to go over the application and award process. The application process begins with the release of the Notice of Funding Opportunity that is posted on our website, and it's better known as the NOFO. The government has a lot of acronyms, so I'm going to be saying a lot of acronyms. So the NOFO is a Notice of Funding Opportunity. The application period is open for 30 days. All applicants must submit by the deadline on the FEMA Go portal. Once applications are submitted, AFG SAFER applications are subject to electronic scoring, where a computer compares various criteria, weighted questions, and program priorities to the request. What is important to note here that FP&S applications do not go through the computer screening programs. They go straight to the peer review panel, which is a panel of fire chiefs. AFG and SAFER applications that score well enough through the electronic score process will move to the peer panel review, where members of the fire services will read and score the applications. For AFG and SAFER, the computer score will be averaged with a peer panel review score, which will provide the application's final score. All applications in the fundable range will undergo technical review by FEMA staff such as myself and subject matter experts to ensure that the items are eligible and that the costs are reasonable and the recipient is in good standing. Awards will be made on basis of the score and highest ranking, and they'll continue to be scored and ranked until there's no funds left. Next slide. NOFO, Notice of Funding Opportunity. Each program has its own NOFO, Notice of Funding Opportunity. This document provides a multitude of important information, such as the laws that authorize and appropriate the program, the objectives, and more importantly, the priorities of the program. For AFG and SAFER, we use high, medium, and low, as you can see on the PowerPoint slide, to identify those as you see here. The NOFO also identifies eligible applicants, provides key dates such as when the application opens and when it closes. It discusses the review process and how applications are scored, states the period of performance, or POP, states many of the regulations that will be included in the terms and conditions of the award. You can download a copy of the Notice of Funding Opportunity NOFO at our AFG website. Next slide, please. Criteria Development and Panel, CDP panel. Funding priorities and criteria for application evaluation is established by FEMA based on recommendations from a criteria development panel. Each year, FEMA meets with 9 fire service organizations that you see on the slide to review programs and priorities. So you have International Association of Fire Chiefs, International Association of Firefighters, International Society of Fire Services, and instructors. There are also others that are involved in this process. I will name those. There's the International Association of Hispanic Fighters, There's International Association of Black Professional Firefighters, Women in the Fire Service, Native American Fire Chiefs, National Association of Hispanic Firefighters. Those are the groups that create the Criteria Development Panel, better known as CDP. Next slide, please. Where to start? So, next slide. Technical assisted tools are available, and there's a shot of our website, www.fema.gov/firegrants. These are the tools that are on the slide at our website. Notice funding opportunity, what I just briefly went over. We have frequently asked questions. We have application checklists. We even have self-evaluation sheets and narrative development toolkits. We had workshops for webinars for the AFG, but they are now closed, and the application for AFG is closing Friday. Next slide. Top 10 best practices. Start preparing now. That's number one. If you haven't started yet, you got 2 days left for AFG.
Yeah.
Next slide, please. Have someone look at your application. 4 eyes are better than 2. And print your application, go over it, and make sure everything's all your I's are dotted and your T's are crossed before submitting. Next slide, please. Okay, this is part I'm going to go over. Assistance Fire Grant Program. This is what I did. Next slide. AFG program and purpose. The purpose of the AFG grant program is to enhance the safety of firefighters by providing critically needed resources that equip and train emergency personnel. We outfit responders with compliant PPE, retrofit, and we also modify facilities to protect personnel from known health hazards. It acquires emergency response vehicles. Everybody wants a vehicle. Designs and implements a health and wellness program. We even provide training, equipment, treadmills, weights, and everything for the health and wellness of the firefighters. Next one. AFG program eligible applicants. First, you have to be a fire department. Fire departments that are formally recognized to provide fire suppression to the population within a geographically fixed primary first due response area. Non-affiliated EMS organizations that are not affiliated with a hospital or fire department. They may be public or nonprofit emergency medical services providing medical transportation to a population/geographic area in which emergency medical services are not adequately provided by a fire department. And last but not least, formally recognized state fire training academies. These are the AFG eligible applicants for AFG. Next slide, please. AFG funding allocations. The AFG program is designed around equitable distribution of funds between department types. After 10% is taken from the grant for FP&S, not less than 25% of the funds are set aside for each 3 fire department types. We have career, combination, and volunteer. After that, there's open competition between the 3 department types. The 3% also go to state training fire academies, and then another 2% go to non-affiliated EMS organizations. So when I say career, combination, and volunteer, that's who scores the application. If you're a career firefighter, you have career fire chief scoring your applications. If you're a combination firefighter, you have fire department, you have combination fire chief scoring your applications. And if you're volunteer, you have volunteer fire chief scoring your application. And that's what I like about AFG grants. We actually have people who actually do the job, score the application and the grants for you. Next slide, please. AFG program application types. The AFG program consists of 3 separate applications. The first is operation and safety that offers 5 activities: equipment, personnel protective equipment, training, modifications to facilities, and wellness and fitness. This is what you'll find under operation and safety. The second is vehicle acquisition. Eligible applicants can request to replace unsafe vehicles in their fleet and add new vehicles. Like I said, everybody wants a new vehicle. And third is regional requests, where 2 or more departments are combining efforts to request mutually needed items. There's also one in here that's on your slide, is micro grants. You can apply for micro grants as well. Micro grants this year has been moved from 50,000 to 75,000. Next slide, please. Fair comparison categories. We got applicant type, community type, application type, activity request, item priority, and various scoring criteria. To make the scoring process equitable as possible, AFG applications are sorted by applicant type. Community classification means rural, suburban, and urban. Application type is option, safety, or vehicle, regional, or micro grant. By activity requested, PPE, equipment or wellness and fitness, etc. That's how it's separated. Applications are sorted by specific items requested in each activity, and then pre-scored and are assigned based on the priority of the requested item and various scoring criteria that we will discuss in this presentation. Next slide, please. Here are the changes for FY23. PPE or SCD that is considered damaged, unsafe, or unrepairable can now be included in replacement or request regardless of age. That is new, that is very important. Vehicle mounted fans are now ineligible and should not be requested under operation and safety. Went over this part. The maximum allowable amount for a micro grant has been increased from 50,000 to 75,000. And you are allowed to request up to 3% of your award for the purpose of managing and administering your award. However, the allowance for costs associated with this is in your award is limited to $1,500. That way you can pay for your grant writer with the $1,500, or you can pay the $1,500 for someone to manage your grant, turn on your reports, and answer all the questions. Next slide, please. This part is very important, and I'd like to take the time to discuss this. We have a robust newsletter. If you go to our AFG website, scroll down to the bottom and sign up. Please sign up for the newsletter. It'll give you all the latest updated information on AFG. And if you have any questions on there or anything's new coming, the first thing that'll come is the newsletter, and you'll be up to date on everything, all the programs under AFG. Next slide, please. Here's my contact information for Region 4. I am in Region 4, so any questions directed to me, that's my email address. Also, there is the AFG website. Also, you have the help desk, which is open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And here is the help desk number and also their email address. Please feel free to contact us anytime you have any questions. Right now, AFG application process will be closing down Friday. That's the last day to submit your applications for AFG. FP&S and SAFER are continuing. They'll start in March 11th, and they will stop April 12th, I believe. That's all I have. Pending your questions, that's it for me, but that's my information right there. Please jot it down for Region 4 and the phone number.
Thank you, Chris. I know we said we were going to hold questions, and I think most of the folks have taken a picture of your email, but I have a question. As a state fire marshal and other state fire marshals across the country, we've been asking for reauthorization support, and what we're getting feedback is the Senate has approved that. Are y'all seeing that in your office, that we have approval through 2030 for the reauthorization of the FEMA grant?
I have not heard that before. I haven't seen that at all. So I don't want to give you any bad information.
Okay, and that's what's concerning me, is that I'm getting letters from our congressmen and senators saying that it has been reauthorized, but as you know, that the fire world, that would be news headlines, and we've not
Right.
seen that yet, so.
Right, there's a lot of hearsay that goes on with AFG, but until I see it in black and white and it's through an email, then I'll know for sure.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you for taking time and being part of this, this first seminar on the FEMA grant for North Carolina.
But thank you. Question, once again, Christopher Billingsley, FEMA Region 4, thank you for this opportunity.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
And during that transition, Shannon has a presentation, and you may hear some of the duplications out of that, but like it was mentioned earlier, because we did this virtual a few weeks ago, but even though it was virtual, we had some bad reception. I was traveling, and Brent was out for a death in his family, but some of what you hear will be duplicated, but hopefully hearing it twice, you'll remember that. So we'll get Shannon set up here to cover her presentation. While she's doing that, I elaborated some on Shannon, of course. Brent is a peer reviewer. Brent goes up or online, does peer review of other states. He can't review for anybody from North Carolina, but he represents our office and the National Association of State Fire Marshals as a peer reviewer for those grants. So he's going to be able to provide knowledge of what a peer reviewer is looking at when they're sitting in those rooms looking at that information. And of course, for our state grants, I didn't mention, but I know all of you here know Davey Sunny. He's our representative, I would say, in the western part of the state, or western North Carolina, and he can answer, being the division chief over grants and governmental services, he can answer any questions about our state grants. So it looks like Shannon is ready.
No, we're ready to go. So I have the pleasure to take 20 minutes of your time and bore you to death. So we're going to talk about how to write a successful grant in general, not just a FEMA grant, just a grant in general. So I did this presentation a couple of weeks ago, like Brian said. Some of this is going to be a little bit of duplicate, and we'll go really quickly through that. How many of y'all have written grants before? So most of you are writing grants, and y'all are pretty successful at getting grants. Yep. Okay. So this might be a review for some of you. I was going to go over the AFG grant, the Assistance to Firefighter grant. This is what you just heard, but I'm going to narrow it down to kind of what he just said in a very real quick thing. It is grants aimed to enhance safety and effectiveness. September 2023, FEMA awarded 1,708 grants, totaling $324 million. And it is focused on firefighter safety, volunteer fire department enhancement, communications, and rural community support. So all of you guys are eligible to do that. And it can be used for various purposes, including equipment and training and PPE, kind of what he just went over. Again, all fire departments, EMS can apply for these grants, and state fire training academies. We kind of went through it is competitive. Make sure you understand that all these grants are competitive, and it definitely is an emphasis on needs. So make sure that the need is there, which all of you have. The applications are open. How many of y'all are applying to this grant? So several of you are. And yet, if you haven't already started on this grant, it is due in 2 days. So it's very difficult to get it done at this point if you haven't. The other two that he didn't talk about, that I'm going to talk a little bit about, is the FEMA Safer Grant, the staffing for adequate fire and emergency response grants. He just mentioned that these are open on March 11th, so we can start working on some of these grant applications if you're interested in these. This is critical funding source for fire departments across the U.S., and it's for the Billings Fire Department to improve emergency response times and looking at the overall community safety. In September of 2023, FEMA awarded 177 of these grants, and it totaled $360 million. Safer grants do target fighting resources by supporting in recruitment, retention, and training of firefighters. So it can be used for hiring new firefighters, purchasing equipment that you guys need, and also providing trainings. Again, fire departments, EMS organizations, both volunteer and combination fire departments can apply for this funding. And they are competitive, just like the other one. It's very competitive. You need to demonstrate need, population served, and organization capabilities. So priorities, again, is given to areas with high need and limited resources. So make sure when you're writing your grant, you're covering those areas. I put here the application start date last year was 2/13. I did not know that March 11th was the day, but just know mark that day, March 11th, for the FEMA Safer Grant. The other one that they have is the Fire Prevention and Safety Grant. And they are designed to strengthen fire prevention initiatives in the community through fire prevention projects. In September of 2023, FEMA awarded 110 of those grants, and it totaled $36 million. So a lot less money here, but still a high number of grants, so you're going to get a little less money. Funding for these are for fire prevention and educational programs. So if you have programs in your area that you want to do or emergency response, this is a good grant for you to apply for. And they do significantly contribute significantly to reducing incident fires. Should be targeted at that. Who can apply? Again, all fire departments, and also on this one, there's also national and regional trade, tribal, territorial organizations. There's a lot of colleges that apply for these. I'm not affiliated to give this organizations apply. So really any organization that's involved in fire safety initiatives. So this is just not narrowed down to fire departments. This one can go a little bit wider. It is a competitive process. So make sure that you're showing what you're doing in your community. And make sure that you're going to have a clear and measurable impact when you're doing this grant. Again, this one starts on March 11th. I'm not going to go through the applying for a FEMA AFG grant. We kind of did that, so we're looking there. I did want to show this particular side. It looks really small up here on the screen that y'all are seeing, but when you go to the FEMA Firefighter Assistance Grant, this is the screen you're going to see. And on this screen, you're going to see where the notice of funding is at. You're going to see any key changes, your application checklist, everything that you need in order to apply for an AFG grant, a fire prevention grant, or the SAFER grant. So all of these are going to be right here on this page. So this is a really good page. I've got the email or the site address for us whenever we get done at the end. So the nuts and bolts of this presentation is a grant proposal, right? The key components to a grant proposal is your project description, your budget and budget narrative, your evaluation criteria, and your supporting documentation. This is the 4 key in any grant that you write, whether it's a FEMA grant or a regular grant or any kind of grant. You're going to need these 4 things. And I'm going to go over each one of these individually. So your project description is going to include a problem statement. You need to describe the problem that you have in your area, your affected population, and your consequences if you don't have this grant. That is really important that you're going to show them, if I don't get this money, what's going to happen to my community? Potentially, right? That really shows that you have a problem in your area. Your project goals and objectives, make sure that your goals are real specific and they're measurable and that they really do target back to the need that you have. Make sure that you do proposed activities and that goes back to your goal again, that these activities are going to show that these goals are being met. And make sure that you put your target population in there. Your target population are the people that you're going to serve in this grant and any specific outcomes. Your budget and evaluation criteria. This is really important that you show that you ensure funds are efficient and transparent. Make sure you put as much money as you need, right? Don't put too much, but make sure that you have all the costs in there, justify your costs, show them why you really need this money. Budgets are really important. You think it's just putting a number down, but when you justify every line item and you're really transparent, it shows that you've really thought about the project and you know what you need. Evaluations are granted, evaluation of grants are reviewed based on the cost-effective impact and implementation. So just make sure that you're looking at that when you're writing your budget. Supporting documentation. Make sure that you have all your certifications and assurances. If you don't have this, especially on a federal grant, they're going to throw you out immediately. Your grant is not going to be any good. So make sure you sign all those certifications and assurances. And sometimes it takes a while to get those done, especially in a town or city, to get approval to do that. Make sure you do that at times. Get letters of support. Those letters of support shows that people in your community also support your project, whatever that is. Letters of support help a lot. And then if you have any formalized partnerships, do an MOU. Attach that MOU as a supporting documentation, because that also shows that you have partnerships in your communities together working on this particular project. So I'm going to go over a couple do's and don'ts for writing a successful grant proposal. Do clearly express your needs and objectives. Make sure that you're telling them, this is my problem, this is the area, this is where it's at, and this is how we're going to solve this problem for this grant. Don't use technical lingo or acronyms without explanation. OSFM, you guys know what this is. If I were to write a grant somewhere else, they wouldn't know what OSFM means, right? So make sure you really do spell out all your acronyms and don't use technical stuff. Provide evidence-based strategies and best practices. They're already out there. There's a lot of programs already out there that's working. Use those. Use those to your advantage, and make sure that you are putting those in your grant application as well. And do not wait to the last minute to start writing your grant. That's the biggest thing, because it takes a long time. You think, oh, I can write this in a day. No. It's going to take you a good week or more, sometimes a month to write a grant, especially a federal grant. If you want to make sure that especially if you're starting from scratch and you want to plan out this whole program for another year, it's going to take a lot of thought and a lot of people in that process. So review and submission process. Applications, and I think Britt's going to talk a little bit about this review and the submission process. But all FEMA grants are, applications are evaluated by FEMA, and they're experts that are evaluating these. So they're your peers that are evaluating all your grants. So they understand when you're writing something, they kind of understand what you're doing. Notification of awards. Successful and unsuccessful applicants will be notified. And if you want on any grant, if you're not awarded a grant and you apply for a grant and you didn't get it, you're not awarded, you can ask them for feedback. Every grant application can give you feedback on why you didn't get a grant. And that helps you the next time as to what you maybe didn't do in a grant application. And then grant management reporting. Make sure that you have somebody that can go and manage your grant for you. Let's say you get a $300,000 grant. You got to be able to manage it. You got to write the reports. You got to write everything that needs to go along with it. So just make sure you have a dedicated person that can help you with reporting and management of the grant and the funds. So here's some information where to find additional resources and assistance. There's the FEMA website. You can go there. You can access the program guidances, the application materials, any contact information. There's also regional grant workshops and webinars that you can go to. They're also on the FEMA website. So you're welcome to go there and get any. And then there's also, you can call us if you need any help with your grant application. Feel free to call us, and we're happy to assist you in your applications. Here's my information. If you have any questions or you want any feedback or any help with your grant, or you just have a question about how to apply for a grant, feel free to email me or call me, and I'm happy to give you the guidance that I can. Again, I know that was a lot in a short amount of time. I tried to make it not quite as boring grant processes. Does anybody have any questions for me on the grant process? Is anyone going to apply for the SAFER grant or the fire prevention grant? No one's planning on it? Okay. Well, just let us know if you are planning on it, just let us know, or if you are planning on doing a grant, just let us know, we're happy to. Thank you.
So we, as a state agency, the State Training Directors Grant, we actually apply and receive that grant every year. We get up to $500,000 to help us with our direct delivery classes that we provide through the office. So we do apply for that as a state office each year, and also the fire prevention grant. And we went through our lull there. We generally apply for smoke alarms. They stopped smoke alarms for a few years. They have went back to allowing smoke alarms, and of course we'll be doing that again this year. And that will help you because we distribute those through our canvassing grants that fire departments do across the state. So as a state agency, we do apply and have been successful on those grants in years past. Okay, Brent?
So on your peer reviewers, what they do is they go to Maryland, to the National Fire Academy, either in person. During COVID, we were doing it at home, which was a whole lot less effective because we weren't able to talk to each other. But three people review each grade. So it's not just one person giving you a grade. Three people review the grant. And if you're you grade each category 1 to 5. And if you're more than, somebody's a 2 and somebody's a 4, then they're gonna huddle you up and get y'all to figure out, why is somebody an outlier in that? And try to get all of you on the same page. Sometimes you can't get on the same page. And then it goes to a supervisor and they try to grade the grant and figure out which numbers are the correct numbers based on their experience. We grade 4 different areas, so we don't grade the first part, whether you're a qualified agency or not. FEMA does that before we get there, and so we're only reviewing grants that are actually capable of being awarded. The first area that we grade is your financial need, and like Shannon said, you need to be very detailed there. What kind of money you have coming in, the money that you do have, where it's going, and then why you don't have the money to do what needs to be done with it, whatever you're asking for. Another thing that you could put in that section is if you applied for a state grant, if you applied for a local grant or other grants and you were denied, you would certainly want to put that in there. Even if you were awarded grants, you want to tell them what grants you were awarded if you're still coming up short and meet that area. You need to paint a picture to that peer reviewer so that he's able to see your need without scanning in your department and seeing, your gear that's too old or that's worn out or that's just beyond being able to be used. You need to take that picture for him because he can't see what your needs are. And then the second thing that we review is the project description. And the same thing there, you need to, as like Shannon said, you need to be very detail oriented. We're looking at it, we would need to be able to see exactly what you're going to do and how you're going to accomplish that. And like you say, we grade it 1 to 5, so it's not like you're getting a 1 to 100 grade. And so going from a 5 to a 4 is very critical, and even going to a 3 is crucial to you. So you need to be able to paint that picture so that they can see what you need, see what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, and why you need it. Third area that we review, and if you've done the grants, you're populating these different boxes, is the cost benefit. What is the community going to get out of FEMA spending this money with your department? And that's where you need to be very, very wise in how do you do that. You need to be able to show them that they're going to get more money in return than they're investing in this project. That you're going to be able to reduce cancer, or you're going to be able to reduce injuries, or you're going to be able to reduce exposures to different things. They need to be able to see that if it comes down between you and another department, that the benefit that they're going to get from their money from you, their return on the investment is going to be better with you than somebody else, then that's going to give you an edge. And that's what that cost benefit category does. And then the last one is is the budget and evaluation. You know, how are you spending this money? What do you need and how are you gonna spend it? And how are we gonna know that you have been effective at using this money and be able to know that you've done exactly what you said you were gonna do? Another thing, if you're writing these grants in Word, for example, so that you can put spell check on it, and you're copying and pasting. When I'm reviewing the cost benefit section, if the answers aren't answered there, but they're answered in other categories, I can't use that information to grade your grant. So you need to make sure that you're putting the right information in the right box. Because if you put it in a different box, it can't count towards that grade. That's how technical. So it needs to be in the right place in the grant, and it needs to be clear and concise. I had a great grant the first year I reviewed it. I would have gave it all 5s, but they had all of it in the wrong box because they copied and pasted, and they would know. I mean, they all got millions in each area because it was in the wrong box. So you need to make sure that you're putting it where the answers where it's supposed to be. Very descriptive. But you don't need to say the same thing over and over and over again. You know, state your point once, state it as clear as you can in that point, and then move on to the next point. Because when you start repeating yourself, the peer reviewers lose you, and they think you're trying to sell them on the idea instead of presenting an idea. Any questions? Okay.
He said that the computer grades it, then it goes to security.
So the computer grades whether you're qualified or not.
So all that stuff, the formulas there that you was talking about, that's, last 2 years, we thought it says it did make the peer review. But for that's just the dear John letter, it's government letter that says the same thing. But we didn't get our letter until like toward the end, so some people said they just ran out of money, so we probably were in the running. But I'm just, all that stuff we're answering prior to those 4 things that you said, that's all done on the computer, or just that we're qualified and you look at all our stuff?
That's probably a Chris question.
Okay.
If you'll send me that question on that email, I'll get you an answer to that, clarify for sure. Any other questions?
There's no other questions. That's going to cover everything with the FEMA Fire Act grant, and we're going to transition over to our USDA folks. And I can tell you, in the tenure that I've been in office, and it's been especially down east after the disasters that we have had with Matthew and Florence, USDA came in, and I'm speaking of the fire service because they do great work across the board in different areas, if it's school systems, water distribution systems, and things of that nature. But for fire departments that really lost everything during some of those disasters, they came in and really helped in rural North Carolina on grants and loans for fire departments that were in real need. So at this time, we'll turn it over and let you do your presentation.
Thank you, appreciate it. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. My name is Jody Lovelace. I'm the area director with USDA Rural Development, serving the western half of North Carolina. I guess we've got 35 counties that we administer our agency's programs in. So I brought with me my colleagues today. Steve Hill works out of our Spruce Pine office, and Steve is our community facility specialist, loan specialist. And then this is Nick Latanzi, who is also a loan specialist, and Nick hails from the Piedmont area down around Gaston and Charlotte area. So I appreciate you guys coming out this evening, and thank the Congressman for the opportunity to be here at the Fire Marshalling Office as well for inviting us. I was looking over the registry, and I think some of you folks is probably familiar with our agency. You probably had some loans or some grants, or may currently do with rural development. And so we brought some information that we want to hand out to you to make available to explain a little bit more about our community facilities program, where we provide low interest financing. We do have grant availability It's limited, and there's some percentages in terms of, in relation to population, as well as median household incomes and that sort of thing, that kind of determines potentially the amount of grant assistance that your department may qualify for. So of course, with federal programs, there are constraints, and particularly with our agency, where we are restricted to serving the rural areas, what's defined as rural, within the communities we selected. So, so Mr. Steve's passing out this information, again, I just wanted to introduce myself, as well as my staff, and avail ourselves with you guys this evening, to talk more about the programs, and if you have needs that you're seeking financial assistance, I want to encourage you to get in touch with our office. We can talk more with you individually in terms of what your needs are. We have, in rural development, we have a myriad of programs that we offer rural economic and development capital needs assistance throughout our communities, and we have, gosh, I guess it's probably well over 40 different programs, funding authorities that we can provide assistance in, and it ranges from first-time homebuyer programs to essential, to loans and grants for essential community facilities, to our business programs, loan guarantees, a lot of different stuff that we work with. So again, we appreciate the opportunity to be with you folks. Nick, if you've got some things that you want to share, perhaps maybe go over these a little bit with the folks.
Yeah. With our community facilities program, you pretty much have two types of applicants. Either you're a municipality, a government body, or you're a 501c3 nonprofit. And the way we look at our programs, one is our population requirement. For both our direct programs, which is where you guys apply directly to us for either the loan or the grant, or the guarantee program, which is where you guys go to, like the lender, for example, and then they come to us for the insurance policy against your loss. We look at first your population, where are you guys physically located, and then we look at your service area. With our direct and our grant program, it's 20,000 people for your area. With our guarantee program, it's 50,000. So as long as you're pretty much outside of Asheville, pretty much, you could pretty much look at either our direct loan or our grant program. As Jody mentioned, our grant program right now is very, very limited. Quite frankly, I think we've kind of made an internal decision. We're not even going to advertise grant because we don't have it. Quite frankly, it's gone. So with our direct loan program, we can actually go out to the useful life of the asset. And we can do everything from new stations, renovations on stations, fire trucks, equipment, almost anything you guys need outside of personnel, we can pretty much fund through our community facilities first. We don't need any type of special application writer or grant writer. There's nothing to get Shannon and her wonderful presentation, but as long as you can fill out an application, you can pretty much apply for our programs. Yeah, that's right.
We'll even help you with that.
Yeah, we'll even help you with that too. So we've done that quite a bit actually.
How competitive are you interest rates for payback?
Right now, we're at 3.75%, which is less than half of what you're going to find at a commercial lender. Understand though, we are tied to the bond market. So every quarter, we do readjust our interest rate, depending on what the bond market's done to the previous quarter. But whatever we lock you in at, that is your rate for the entire term.
How long does it normally take to get plugs on the wall?
Depends on what your project is. If you come to me for a vehicle or a truck, I could probably get you done within 6 months. You come to me for a brand new fire station, you're probably talking about a year before we break ground, then depending on the complexity, another year of construction.
Does that include starting with the construction part of the loan?
That's everything, yes sir. Everything.
When you say everything, is that architect also?
Correct. Yeah, because that's going to be part of our application process. Your environmental, your architect, and then the actual paperwork with us, that is included within that 12-month to break ground.
Just get around it. All right.
Do you require specific architects within your program, or are we still able to go out and do our own research?
As long as the architect is AIA licensed and they are licensed in North Carolina, we honestly don't care who you use. We just want to see that their license is stamped on those documents. Any other questions?
Great. No, I'm still, good.
We don't have any deadlines as far as applications are concerned. It's pretty much a first in, first out when it comes to funding. Now, yes, when we start hitting, beginning of October, the end of September, because that's the government fiscal year, we may have a little lapse while they transfer the money over to the new year, but we still keep rolling with applications even during that time frame.
So is there anything else other than 20,000 residents? I mean, is there anything else that can say you don't qualify?
Financing, one of the big thing is we are not allowed to steal business from the commercial sector. So if we look at your finances and you guys are pretty healthy financially, we have to remove ourselves from the situation. Probably the vast majority of the volunteer fire departments we've dealt with, we have not had that fraud.
Basically, if you can get credit elsewhere at reasonable rates and terms, then we can come to let you go.
Nice work.
But a lot of, right now, as you mentioned earlier, the rates are so high, that's not reasonable, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's good to be there.
Y'all have a limit on apparatus or its loan?
And we will only loan what you can afford.
Yeah.
You can make a payment.
Yeah. And we do a pretty conservative approach on that. We're not gonna stretch you out. We're gonna make sure you're in a comfortable position, because we do want you to succeed from day one. And we're not gonna set you up to fail.
Same interest rate, apparatus versus building, 3.75.
Same thing, yes, sir. Yep. Yeah, the only real difference is gonna be the term. If real estate is involved, we will go out to a 30-year term. If a vehicle is involved, we'll go out to whatever the manufacturer will certify to useful life. Same thing with equipment. We'll go out to useful life.
More questions? And we've got some business cards up here as well, our contact information. I sent out an email to someone, I'll send out, I've got a list of all the fire departments in our area, and I'll send out an email with some of our information as well. Basically, it's this stuff here, but it'll also have our contact email and scholars.
I have one question. When you mentioned Paul about departments being financially stable, what exactly are your criteria determining whether the department's financially stable?
That your income exceeds your expenses. You're not operating in the negative.
So if we're not operating in the negative, we can go to a bank, like I said.
Oh, you're talking about the other credit?
I'm talking about, you're not operating, that's sort of what financial stable. Come to you and say, your financial stable goes to a bank. What are you looking at to see? If you're saying we're not operating in negative, if we're not operating in negative, we're not going to be business law. If we're operating in negative, we're not going to be business law. We'll need a law.
Unfortunately, that's a very big gray area that actually me and Judy are currently fighting at the moment. We look at one, your finances, and two, what your project is, okay? What can you afford on a monthly or an annual basis to go toward a loan? And we'll just use sake of round numbers, okay? If you have a $5 million project, but I look at your finances and you can only afford $1 million loan, then obviously we're coming to you saying, where are you getting the rest of the money? But the reverse of that, if you have a $10 million project, a $5 million project, but you can afford a $10 million loan, I'm looking at you going, you really need to go to commercial credit.
Okay, I think that makes it work.
Essentially, it sums up in your ability to service debt is really what, and looking at your financials and seeing what your projected debt service coverages and that sort of thing. It's really the, you know, kind of the synopsis or the litmus test, if you will, for, you know, for qualifying for financing conventionally or through our agency. And then also if, you know, with us, if how much potentially. So, yeah, so that's you look at your financials and, you know, and determine there again what your debt service is and really things like that. So,
Question on that, because you said the 501c incorporated department as well as a municipality is others, correct? All right, so when you're looking at the municipal side, I mean, obviously from the 501c3, they've got their fund balance that is theirs, so to speak. But from the municipal side, are you taking into account the general fund for the whole municipality, or what is related to fire?
The whole account.
Okay, so really you can't fund the.
Yeah, because if the county or even the city, if they're my borrower, I have to look at their entire finances.
Question. Bills.
Any other questions? So the next one, we don't have a representative here, but I'll ask Brent to just speak briefly on his, I guess, time that he's dealt with the co-op, electrical co-op grants. So if you'll talk about what they've covered or what you've experienced with electrical co-ops.
USDA may be able to weigh in on this too. Some years ago, USDA gave money to the electrical co-ops that they can loan to the fire department and other type entities at interest-free. So I don't know if they have grants, but most of what they have is interest-free loans that you have to pay back. And they're smaller, so you're talking about $100,000 less. But I mean, if you're gonna borrow $200,000, why not borrow $100,000 for the electric co-op interest-free and get the other $100,000, you know, with USDA or whoever you get. But your electrical co-ops have money that USDA gave them. How long ago did y'all give them that money?
seed money, it's been years, and what it was designed really is perpetuating.
That's
revolving.
So as that money comes back in, they're able to loan it back?
Yeah, the revolving loan program that will. I'm not aware of if any of our cooperatives in the West actually have those funds available. That's an interesting question.
Well, they do in the East.
Yeah, but I should know. And that's really, it's easy enough to find out, because I mean, we know who the cooperatives are, could get in touch with them, but as well as could you folks. So depending on if you're getting service from, you have to be within that service area. That is correct. Of the cooperative to be able to. So over here it would be perhaps Kings Brown, Electric Co-op, is that?
And Haywood.
Yeah, we got
And then Haywood over on West.
And Haywood actually has a grant program that they do for anybody in the co-op. They'll do $1,000 for any piece of equipment, anything like that. But Haywood is none of that consistently has gotten. It was 500, they upped it to 1,000 this year. And it's just a one-page application process. So Haywood and Prince Roger are the two co-ops in this area.
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay, and the last area I would say with assistance with funding is having a good working relationship with your General Assembly member, if it's a House or Senate member, because there are directed grants that they are able, but you really have to paint a good picture and show a need. You know, from buying a ladder truck to cover I think Western Carolina actually got funding to help with a ladder truck to cover UNCW, what's the mountains? Western Carolina, sorry. Yeah, Western Carolina. I forgot I'm in Western North Carolina. But I think there are special grants, what they're called directed grants from your General Assembly staff that you really need to build a relationship with them and show the need. But you have to start that early. That's your your January, February time, because when they go to Raleigh, they're hitting it hard and they're looking at what the needs are. But of course, first and foremost, they're gonna call our office, to support, to make sure that the need is there, and is there anything that we can do. So that is another avenue to help you in your district for special needs, if it's apparatus or station relocation or renovations.
Detail about the summer camp grant that we have.
Okay. So as of today, you should, fresh off the press, Blue Cross and Blue Shield provided special funding. The commissioner worked with Blue Cross for several projects over the years. And this past year, there was $500,000. The Fire Association, that money ran through the Fire Association. Fire Association is actually using $200,000 for cancer screening. You can apply for cancer screening for your fire department. And then $300,000 came to the Office of State Fire Marshal to administer for what we call summer camp programs. Junior programs, what we have seen, when you start talking about recruitment, the best thing that we have seen is the junior programs. If it's the high school classes, if it's just summer camps or junior programs, that's truly where the recruitment starts. If most of you in here, if you're chief officers, you all started like I did at age 16 or before. I got the ditch when I was about 12 years old. So if you, that's really the most successful thing. So that grant application, the letter notification went out from my office today, and you should have received that, and it will open up what day?
It opens now.
No, okay.
It's open now.
So you will submit basically a letter with that application. It will not go through our electronic system because if you have an existing program, you're probably planning for it now to advertise it, to get it started for the summer. And you'll apply for that, and we will evaluate the fundings, what the requests are and what funds we have to try to award those. So I highly recommend, if you have a program, an existing program, this will just help you, because we know that you beg, borrow, and steal to put these programs on generally. I did a program when I was in Avalon many years ago, 20 years ago, I guess, and it was an average of $3,500 what it costs to do a week program, and that was 20 years ago, so I can only imagine what it costs now to put a week-long or 2 or 3 day program on in your community. Any questions on that?
And if you're looking for that real quickly, it's under Hot Topics, under our website. Go to the Hot Topics section, and you're gonna find that grant application, or the abstract. It's not really an application, it's an abstract, to where you're gonna tell us about your program and your budget, and it's turn that in.
Okay, Chief?
On the canister one, is that gotta be department specific, or can you do a county or regional as long as the department is managing?
That's gonna be a question for Ed Brinson. If you'll just email or call Ed, he can help you, and or Dean. I mean, Dean's a representative out here for you. Dean can probably help you with that question as well.
Okay, the state appropriations, you said it has to be in January, but that's January, February during the budget process, right? So I think they're coming back for this session. You couldn't ask for one now for them to look at it.
There is very limited funds on the short session. You always want to hit that at the front end of the biennium, not during the short session. There's very limited funds that are available in the biennium, which is the second year of the biennium. So you would start looking at 25 if you had, go ahead and prepare your packages and or educate your representatives in your area now to work toward that. But that would be a January, February of 25 ask. Any other questions about grant opportunities, funding opportunities, and or any questions in general about the Office of State Fire Marshal? Well, I want to say thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to come and listen and be part of this. And we look forward to doing this more in the future. Appreciate your service and sacrifice you take each and every day.